Hollywood is littered with tragic tales of young actors falling on hard times in adulthood. But while burning out and disappearing is a common script, not every child star follows that path. In fact, there's a good chance you've seen some of them on screen recently without even knowing it. Here are some former child stars you'll barely recognize now. Henry Thomas. Getting your big break in a movie as wildly popular as Steven Spielberg's E.T. comes with certain pressures, and the glare of the media spotlight that followed was too much for this child actor. After making that iconic film, he said, "My world went completely crazy. I was that stupid kind of famous where you can't go anywhere." Thomas more or less went into hiding when the E.T. craze wore itself out, but once the buzz died down a little, he snuck back into acting with little fanfare, which means you might not have realized that was him strolling with Leo in Martin Scorsese's Gangs of New York, or playing a manipulative child abuser in the Netflix adaptation of Stephen King's Gerald's Game. Most recently, he appeared in a guest role on the critically acclaimed FX series Better Things. Diane Lane. Contemporary movie audiences know Diane Lane as Superman's adoptive mother Martha Kent in the DC movie universe, but her career actually began back in 1979 with a romantic comedy called A Little Romance, in which industry legend Laurence Olivier played matchmaker for Lane and a French boy in Paris. Olivier reportedly called Lane the next Grace Kelly, and she even appeared on the cover of Time magazine, but she never achieved the kind of fame that turns child actors into tabloid headlines. Instead, she worked quietly but continuously in under-the-radar projects right up until a well-deserved Oscar nomination for Unfaithful put her back in the spotlight. Haley Joel Osment. Back in the late 1990s, this young actor answered a casting call for M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense and ended up saying the most iconic catchphrase in modern horror movie history.
I see dead people.
But after just one other high-profile role in Steven Spielberg's polarizing sci-fi flick AI, Osment fell off the radar and returned to screen about 15 years later looking nearly unrecognizable. Look past the beard, though, and you'll recognize him in Entourage, Kevin Smith's Yoga Hosers, and in a guest role as a wealthy tech mogul, Keenan Feldspar, on the HBO comedy Silicon Valley. Molly Ringwald. This teen icon rose to prominence as a star of essential 1980s cinema and as a prominent member of the Brat Pack, the group of young actors who dominated Hollywood under the tutelage of director John Hughes. But as the 1990s rolled on, the Pack members struggled to maintain their careers, and by the time Ringwald landed her next notable role, it was as the mother of the kind of character she was once famous for playing. In 2008, she turned up in the teen TV drama The Secret Life of the American Teenager, and in 2017, she jumped to another mom role on the CW's Riverdale.
You know, am I more Betty? Am I more Veronica? What am I going to be like when I grow up? Who am I? And then it turns out I'm Archie's mom.
Anthony Michael Hall. Like Molly Ringwald, this actor starred in both 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club, only to reject parts in John Hughes' next two projects for fear of being typecast as a nerd. But playing a teenage dork is still what the Brat Pack alum is best known for. So you might not have recognized him all grown up and playing TV host Mike Engel in Christopher Nolan's superhero classic The Dark Knight. Since then, Hall has scored minor roles in the Oscar-nominated film Foxcatcher, crime drama Live by Night, and the Netflix original film War Machine. And while he's not as famous as he used to be, he did make headlines in 2017 for felony battery after allegedly assaulting a neighbor, which is one way to escape a reputation as a Hollywood dweeb. Taylor Momsen. If someone asked you what kind of career the adorable little girl from How the Grinch Stole Christmas would grow up to have, rock star probably wouldn't be your first guess. But as the lead vocalist of The Pretty Reckless, Taylor Momsen is definitely going out of her way to show the world that she isn't Cindy Lou Who anymore. Momsen and her band found some major success with their first lead single, Make Me Wanna Die, and their following two albums have been even more well-received. And from now on, you're a lot more likely to find her on stage than on screen. Devin Rattray. For those who grew up on 1990s Christmas classics, this actor will always be known as the awful older brother Buzz to Macaulay Culkin's Kevin McAllister in Home Alone. But after playing the bully in two separate films, Devin Rattray labored in obscurity for more than 20 years, only to have a surprise career renaissance as an adult. You might not have known it was him, but the actor has turned up in the action comedy R.I.P.D., the critically acclaimed indie thriller Blue Ruin, and the Oscar-nominated Nebraska. And most recently, he's scored a recurring role as Tinfoil Kevin in Amazon's superhero satire The Tick. Ralph Macchio. In the 1980s, this young actor scored the role of Daniel LaRusso in The Karate Kid, which is still the role he's most famous for. But while he worked almost entirely under the radar for the next several decades before landing his next high-profile project, this is one child star you might actually recognize, because Ralph Macchio doesn't age.
Why don't you come back when you turn 18, okay?
You know, I'm 48 years old.
Macchio popped up in Entourage in 2005 and again in the 2012 biopic Hitchcock. But as of 2017, he's taking it back in time to the 1970s with a supporting role in HBO's gritty period drama, The Deuce. Thanks for watching. Click the Nicki Swift icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.